Hello everyone, welcome back to another Stitches and Scribbles video. My name is Erin, and today we're going to be making some cute wristlets or lanyards. I'm going to do a wristlet today, but you can use the same directions for either one. For this craft fair item, you're going to need a I-cord maker. You could also hand knit or hand crochet the I-cords, but I'm going to be using this tool for today. It should also have a weight that comes with it to weigh down your piece as you go. You're also going to need a large lobster clasp. Mine are from Joann's from the Hildy and Joe brand. They come in packs of 8. There's also a bunch of different varieties. There's some with like cute little designs on them. There's bigger ones, there's smaller ones. You can kind of choose what you want. You're also going to need a metal darning needle or plastic darning needle, a pair of scissors, and some thin cotton yarn. This cotton yarn I got in a pack from Hobbii. It's the Mayflower cotton. Their cotton 8-4 also works really well for this if you have one of those rainbow packs. Now, in order to get started, you're going to need to decide if you want to make a wristlet or if you want to make a full-size lanyard. When I say wristlet, I mean one where you would attach it to your little wallet or something and then just tie it around your wrist. But if you're planning on making a full-size lanyard, that's the kind that you wear with your keys around your neck. So it's really the same set of directions, you just use a different measurement. For the wristlet, I like to make about 13 inches of I-cord, and for a full lanyard, I like to make about 45 inches on the I-cord. You're going to lose about an inch of your I-cord as you're working on this, which you'll see in a little bit. In order to get started, I actually prefer to do this first step by threading my yarn through my darning needle because that gives it something to weigh it down at the end. Pull out a little bit of slack there. Then I'm going to thread my darning needle through the yarn guide on the side and let it drop down through the machine. Once it has dropped down, I'm going to let it into the weight. Make sure that you've got a pretty good hold on it, and then it's coming out the other end. Now, this I-cord machine I think is designed to be used with regular worsted weight yarn, but a lot of times I find the worsted weight yarn gets stuck in it, so that's why I prefer to use the thinner cotton for this project. In order to start, you're going to let one loop pick up. You're going to pull the yarn over the second loop, let the third loop catch it, and pull it up over the fourth loop. After that point, you should be able to just keep going, making sure to lift the machine off the table so that the weight is really pulling it down. And you're just going to keep going until the end of your I-cord, from the end of the actual I-cord, not the end of the string dangling down, to where the hooks are in the machine is about 13 inches. So again, you're just going to keep going until you get the measurement you want. Once your I-cord has reached the length you want it, you're going to trim the cord off to the side and then just keep winding until it kind of falls off the machine. You do need to rely on the weight for this, which is why mine didn't go right away, but it should eventually just fall out the bottom. You can then remove the weight, double check that it's about the length that you want, and then we can get started with finishing it off. So you're going to need to kind of pull out the last couple stitches, just because usually the last row gets a little bit messed up from being pulled off of the machine. So I pop that string out and then undo a couple rows. This is where I said you would expect to lose some length. Once you've pulled out a couple rows, you should have one end with a very long tail and one end that was finished. We're actually, before we continue, this end we're going to need to undo the finishing part, but it's a lot easier to get the clasp on before you do that. So I thread the end through the loop, and kind of jam that loop on there. Some of them are a little bit small, so that can be tricky. I recommend when you're buying them, make sure that the ending loop is big enough to get through your I-cord. Then you're just going to gently pull apart the end of the I-cord that was sealed off by the machine so that we have those 4 little loops open. I'm going to scoot this down a little bit further just so that I have some room to work. Now that we have both ends of our I-cord open, I'm going to thread my needle with the shorter of the 2 ends. We want to save the long end for something else. And you're just going to kind of go back and forth between the 2 ends, picking up each loop on both sides. It doesn't really matter what order you do this in. This part is actually going to be covered by the finishing steps anyways, so it's not super crucial that you do it in a specific order or anything like that. You just need to make sure that all 4 loops on both sides get picked up before you pull it tight. Depending on how you pulled out your loops, some of them may be a little bit difficult to see, so it's important to be careful. Okay, and once you think you've picked them all up, kind of roll it around and check. See, I missed one right here. So I'm going to pick that one up, because otherwise your finished piece will unravel as it is used. Once you've checked that you have picked up all of the loops, you can kind of pull that end a little tighter and tie it into a couple of knots just to secure it. Then you should have a finished loop with your clasp on it. You're going to slide the clasp so that it's right next to that knot, but not completely on it. And now we're going to use the longer side to kind of do a wrap to finish it off. So I adjust mine a little bit. You're also going to want your short ends sticking out so that you can kind of knot them together. And then I'm going to start wrapping the long end around, and you kind of want to think about it as if you're like filling in that space. It's a little easier to do without your other end in the way. So I just keep wrapping, keeping my tension really, really tight. And you go all the way so that you cover that spot where you knotted the 2 ends together. You can kind of adjust to pull it tighter, and then tie your 2 ends together in a knot again, a couple times. And then you can use your darning needle, thread both of those on there, and we're going to hide them by threading them back up through the wrap or through the center of those I-cords. This part can be a little tricky, but you want to get it through at least a couple of layers. And then you can trim those edges nice and close, pull it around and adjust it a little bit until those ends disappear inside. And that is a finished wristlet. Again, if you wanted to do a full-length lanyard, just do the I-cord for 45 inches instead of only 13. As far as pricing these, I charge $10 for the wristlets, which puts them in the same at the same price as a pair of earrings, and I charge $15 for the full-length ones just because there's not a huge difference in the amount of materials. Really, this is the expensive part when it comes to materials for this item, so 10 for the little ones, 15 for the big ones. But then you have this nice little piece that can slide over your wrist and hold your keys, a little wallet, anything like that. I usually recommend these to college students to hold your like ID case or something like that. Thank you so much for watching this craft fair tutorial. I hope it gave you some inspiration for your own craft fair. Make sure you check out the description box below for other places to follow me, and make sure you subscribe to this channel if you want to see more crafty tutorials. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.